It's a beautiful day for baseball, and live from Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Arizona, Sportsnet LA presents the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Chicago White Sox in the first of 38 exhibition games. And who else but Clayton Kershaw will be making the start, as he will on April the 3rd at Dodger Stadium. Hi again, everybody. Charlie Steiner, Rick Bundy. Great to have you back with us. So here are the Dodgers, 4 years in a row, Mo, winning the National League Western Division, 90 or more wins in each of the past 4 years. And over the last 9 years, they've won the division 6 of those 9 years. And yet they're still in pursuit of that holy grail.
And I think all clubs, Charlie, that have some semblance of winning. What is a successful season? Is it only winning the World Championship, as the Chicago Cubs did after beating the Dodgers and then moving on? This is a club, I think, now that is even more hungry, that being the Dodgers, because they've gotten so close. There are some question marks, however, we're going to see in spring training. What's going to comprise as far as the people in the outfield? What's going to happen to the bullpen? This is an interesting season, interesting spring.
And for Dave Roberts, reigning National League Manager of the Year, he begins his second season with a very good club. And we have a very good opening day ball game coming up next.
Live from Camelback Ranch, Glendale in Arizona. In Glendale, Arizona. Dodger baseball returns in 30 Major League teams. Well, they're all trying to get to the World Series. Hi, everybody. Rick Muddy alongside Charlie Steiner with producer-engineer Dwayne McDonald. Bright sunshine, but a little bit on the cool side. 62 degrees. There is not a breath of wind anywhere. Dodger blue in the stands, and happy to have you with us. The Dodgers, 90-plus victories a season ago. 4 consecutive seasons. They've won 90 in a row, and they have Clayton Kershaw will be on the mound this afternoon. Kershaw with a record in his career, 126 wins and 60 losses against the Chicago White Sox. One thing we know, Charlie Steiner, is this Dodger ball club. Okay, they've had a winner to reflect back upon a very good season, going 91 and 71. They did not get to the big dance. They lost to the eventual world champion Chicago Cubs, but everybody starts anew here as we get underway in spring training. But for the Dodgers, maybe a little bit extra incentive because they're hungry. They've been close, but not quite finishing up where they want.
4 years in a row, they've won at least 90 games. 4 years in a row, they've won the National League Western Division. But, of course, it's been a long time since winning the World Series back in 1988. So here we go. It's 62 degrees. Just some puffy white clouds off in the distance. Clayton Kershaw to throw the first pitch of his first and only inning of the first game of spring. Delivers high and outside. 1 ball and no strikes. The White Sox have Tim Anderson leading off, the shortstop. Melky Cabrera, the DH, hitting second. Jose Abreu batting third. Kershaw delivers. Brewers. Anderson swings and misses, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Avisail Garcia is in right, hitting 5th. Giovanni Soto, the catcher, hitting 6th. Kershaw working quickly out there, and here's the 1-1, and a ground ball foul toward the Dodger dugout down the third baseline, and it's 1-2. Sanchez, the second baseman, Liriano in left, and Peter Borges is batting 9th in center. And so we are underway. As Mo said, no wind to speak of. At a high pop-up to the left side of the infield. Retreating into short left is Corey Seager. About 3 feet fair, makes the catch, and we're underway.
With Kershaw going the 1 inning, you also wonder, well, okay, he knows exactly what he has to do, and we'll see in the early parts of spring training, what are the pitchers trying to work on? Are they to the curveball yet? Are they to the changeup yet? For Kershaw, there's a whole lot of yets. 11 walks last year, was all 172 strikeouts. An amazing comparison.
All that, and he missed so much time in the middle of the season. Delivering high and inside to the switch-hitting Melky Cabrera. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Defensively for the Dodgers, it's probably with the exception of Seguin at first, you've got Turner at third, Seager at short, Logan Forsythe at second base, and of course Adrian Gonzalez has tennis elbow, the right elbow, so he's sitting it out. Cabrera fouls it off to the right. 1 ball, 1 strike. Andrew Tolles in left, Jock Peterson in center, Yasiel Puig in right. Yasmani Grandal is behind the plate. Here's the 1-1. It's high and inside, 2-1.
Talk about some of those names with Forsythe now at second base, and Chase Utley haven't been re-signed, and it's kind of interesting is what Dave Roberts can do, his coaching staff looking at it, but Forsythe has already settled in nicely with his new group.
Here's a 2-1, a swing and a miss. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Cabrera.
And Forsythe, a right-handed hitter. The Dodgers, I think overall, if you look at how they had lefties last year, that's going to be a big question as to the roster, lefties versus righties as far as hitting.
The 2-2 fouled off to the right and out of play. The Dodgers last year hit just .214 against left-handed pitching. And so the signing of Franklin Gutierrez, very good against left-handed pitching throughout his career. Logan Forsythe hits well against lefties. A couple of key additions to the Dodgers. A 2-2 swung on and missed, strike 3, breaking ball. Cabrera's down on strikes, 2 up, 2 down.
Well, I guess that answers the question. Is it too early for Clayton Kershaw to dial in the curveball? Well, if you're Mr. Cabrera, you say, no, it's not too early. In fact, it may be too early for the hitters.
Mr. Cabrera, meet Uncle Charlie.
And that was not a pedestrian-type curveball either.
Jose Abreu stepping in. Big fella, 6'3", 255. Solid season last year, 25 home runs, 100 runs batted in. Takes inside and low, 1 ball and no strikes. Hit .293 on the season. White Sox, of course, a major overhaul. Chris Sale, Adam Eaton gone. And a ground ball slowly hit to third. Picked up by Turner. Throws to first. And just like that, a 1-2-3 inning for Clayton Kershaw. Mission accomplished. Supposed to go 1 inning today. Couldn't do any better. We'll go to the bottom of the first with Logan Forsythe making his Dodger debut when we come back. for the White Sox on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. First round pick back in 2015. He was a standout at Vanderbilt. He was 23-3 with an ERA of 1.99, 4 complete games, 298 strikeouts in 3 seasons at Vandy. And he'll be facing Logan Forsythe, Corey Seager, Justin Turner, Grandal, the catcher, in the cleanup spot. We're talking about Franklin Gutierrez, who began his career in the Dodger organization. He's the DH hitting 5th. Peterson in center, Puig in right, Andrew Tolles in left, and Rob Seguin hitting 9th. Fulmer's first pitch is a ball outside and high, 1 ball and no strikes. For the White Sox in their familiar black jerseys and gray slacks, Reimer Liriano is in left field. And Peter Borges, now much traveled in his career in center. Avisail Garcia is in right. Forsythe, right-handed batter, swings and misses 1-1. Matt Davidson is at third base. Tim Anderson at short. Sanchez is the second baseman. Jose Abreu at first, and Giovanni Soto is the catcher. Seager on deck. Outfield and infield straight away. Forsythe takes a strike on the outside corner and is 1-2.
You know, Forsythe with 20 home runs last year. Interesting that Dave Roberts is looking him at the top of the lineup. He had 20 home runs. He's not a speedster. 12 stolen bases attempted last year to steal, and he was 500. 6 times he was successful, 6 times he caught.
The 1-2 is outside and low. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Been a while since the Dodgers have had a pure leadoff hitter.
Yeah, and what Dave is looking for is for Forsythe to obviously get a high on-base percentage. Really makes a good, I think, a dynamic duo. If you have Forsythe hitting first and Seager, who's on deck, coming on batting second.
Forsythe swings and fouls it off to the right and out of play.
But the Dodgers historically, it's been a long time since they've had, quote-unquote, a base stealer overall. I think of D. Gordon was probably the last one. Before Gordon, there was David Lopes, but overall, there's not a whole lot of guys. Steve Sachs is in that fold after Moore Wills.
Forsythe swings and fouls it off to the right and out of play. You had Kenny Lofton there briefly. Brett Butler for a time. But the pure slap hitting, high on base percentage, running leadoff hitter hasn't been a hallmark of this Dodger team for quite a while. So you mix and match and do the best you can with what you have. 2-2. Fulmer into the wide. Here's the pitch. It's outside and low. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
I think more importantly is that Dave Roberts is kind of not a 90-foot manager to begin with. By the way, the National League Manager of the Year in his rookie season. But Dave likes an active team that can hit and run, do other things.
The 3-2. Forsythe grounds it slowly to third. Nice, easy hop for Matt Davidson. Throws across to Abreu. Forsythe is retired, and the Dodger offense is underway. Well, here's Corey Seager. Well, merely the National League Rookie of the Year, and he's rapidly become quite the fan favorite. For good reason. Hit .308 last year, and he drills one to center field. But retreating toward right center to make the catch is the veteran Peter Borges, and there's 2 gone.
Okay, so talk about also with Seager. I thought it was interesting a couple of days ago. He said, look, I didn't really have my A swing last year, and he still hit over 300. Now, against lefties, it was about 250, the average. But for Seager, he says, look, I did not really feel comfortable the entirety of the season. That was last year. And all he was, as you mentioned, Rookie of the Year, All-Star, 3rd in the National League in MVP voting in his rookie season.
Justin Turner stepping in. And Turner, I don't know who's happier, the Dodgers or Turner, that he re-signed. He has become really one of the team's leaders. And coming off just a sensational season. Justin now 32. The pride of Bellflower. Outside and low. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
We had a sneak preview last night because as we were having dinner, Justin Turner and his fiance came over, sat down with us, talked baseball.
There's the 1-1 outside and low, 2-1.
And he is extremely aware of his importance with his ball club He does not underplay the importance of everybody else, but boy, he has his fingers right on the pulse of this team.
275 last year, 27 home runs, 90 runs batted in. Had a .339 on base percentage. And throughout his career, when he began in Baltimore, on to the Mets, and since coming to the Dodgers, he's been an outstanding clutch hitter. Here's a 2-1. Outside and low, 3 balls and a strike.
There's another dimension also of Justin Turner, is the attitude, that the way that he gets ready for the game, but also if you start to list underrated players in one area or another, you put Turner underrated in what he does defensively. We have the advantage of seeing him each and every day. He was fabulous last year.
Here's a 3-1. Foul back to the screen, 3-2. And again, this is now his 4th year with the Dodgers, and we have seen him progress. You remember, after the 2013 season, the Mets just let him go, basically fired him. Good luck wherever you may end up. Well, he came home to the Dodgers, had to fight for a job in 2014. All he did was hit .340 that year. And just watching him grow as a player and as a man over the last 3 years has been a wonderful tale to follow. He takes outside and low ball for a walk with 2 gone. Now here's Yasmani Grandal. The switch hitting catcher. Plenty of power, of course. .27 home runs, 72 runs batted in last year, and he drills a base hit into center field. Holding at second is Turner. So the Dodgers, after 2 out, nobody on, have first and second. And Franklin Gutierrez stuff it in.
Well, for Grandal, spent a lot of time this offseason, in particular trying to improve upon the right-handed hitting. Said he was disappointed in what he did last year. This is from the left side today, but first pitch gets a good pitch and winds up with a base hit.
So here's Franklin Gutierrez. Gutierrez, of course, signed with the Dodgers back in 2000. And would be traded to the Indians in the Milton Bradley deal in 2004. So what goes around comes around. And again, Gutierrez throughout his career has fared particularly well against left-handed pitching. And so he has been brought aboard. That's a very crowded outfield situation for the Dodgers coming into the season. Takes high and inside, 1 ball and 1 strike, and the catcher Giovanni Soto is going to go out and talk to Carson Fulton.
Yeah, you can tell the quickness, I think, of the hitter, Gutierrez, and for those on the simulcast, just getting away from a pitch that just tailed up and in. But you can tell the quickness of the hands of hitters when you look at their hand setup. And Gutierrez is high up above his helmet. His bat at times wraps around and behind his helmet. And the first instinct is aha. There's no way he can get to the ball that is up and in, but his hands are so quick and strong, he can do it. And sometimes he just kind of lures a pitcher into making a mistake.
Hit .246 in 98 games with the Mariners last year. Takes a strike on the inside corner at the knees and is 1-2. Gutierrez is a career .257 hitter. In his heyday, he was one of the best defensive center fielders in the game. But now, as the beard is getting a bit grayer, he is more of a corner outfielder. 6'2", 213. Swings and misses. Foul tips it into the glove of Soto. Gutierrez down on strikes. No runs, 1 hit, 1 walk, 2 left. No score after 1 from Glendale. who worked all of one inning. That was on the docket. Couldn't have been any better. 1 strikeout, 11 pitches, 7 strikes. And here's Alex Wood. Wood's going to pitch probably the next 2 innings. Last year, again, fighting through some injuries. Made 10 starts, a 1-4 record, a 3.73 ERA. And as of today, the 25th of February, he's listed as one of the bullpenners.
Well, one of the bullpenners, and they have some decisions, they being the Dodgers, decisions as to who's going to be in the middle of that bullpen. And for Alex Wood, once he came back last year, of course, it was kind of odd. Last year, he said, I've smoothed my delivery out. Well, evidently, his mirrors were a little bit different than what our eyesight was. He is deceptive in his delivery, in particular to left-handed batters.
Had left elbow impingement. There was stuff in there that got in the way. They cleaned it out. Here he is. Matt Davidson, right-handed hitter, takes a strike. It's 0-1. It'll be Davidson, Avisail Garcia, and Giovanni Soto. Davidson at AAA last year, 10 home runs, 46 runs batted in. Hit .268. Wood delivers. There's a line drive base hit into left center field. Tolles retrieves. Davidson takes the turn at first.
The thing about Alex Wood, when he is pitching, his control has been very good. That's a plus for him. I think any time that you're looking at a pitcher, if he's going to be in the bullpen, when control is not necessarily an issue, in other words, you can throw strikes when needed, it really helps your overall plan to come out of the bullpen, because most of the time you'll be coming in with tin cans attached to the back of you because there are people on base.
Like a just married jalopy.
Mm-hmm. And everybody knows you're coming in.
And he's probably got the funkiest delivery in baseball. Garcia, right fielder, right-handed hitter, steps in. Scoreless. We're in the top half of the second inning of the very first game of spring. And ball inside and low, 1 ball and no strikes. 38 exhibition games. Preseason is extended a little bit this year, what with the World Baseball Classic. So they're getting ready for April the 3rd in a more stretched out fashion than usual. Garcia awaits. Here's the pitch. It's a strike on the outside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike. Garcia, 245 last season. 12 home runs, 51 runs batted in. Of course, this White Sox team under a major overhaul. It is time to rebuild, and they've decided this is the year. And so Chris Sale was traded to the Red Sox, Adam Eaton to the Nationals, and a White Sox team is Wood misses inside and low 2-1, which had maybe one of the bottom 10 farm systems in baseball with all the deals. 7 prospects, including Yohan Moncada, and 3 pitchers from Washington. There's a liner into center field for a base hit. And so Wood has been greeted rudely. First and second, nobody out. So the White Sox decided enough is enough. And so this year, they expect some growing pains. But over the long haul, they think those were the moves that had to be made. Now a conference on the Hill with Alex Wood.
And another move that Rick Hahn, the vice president, general manager of the White Sox, made is that Rick Renteria is now the manager, the pilot, if you will, of the Chicago White Sox. There have been a couple of tweaks in the coaching staff.
Robin Ventura is gone. You remember Renteria was the manager of the Cubs until Joe Madden became available. There was never any question about Renteria's ability to lead a squad. 4 years ago, in fact, he was the manager of the Mexican team in the World Baseball Classic. And so now he's got a chance to run the ship on the south side of Chicago. Giovanni Soto The former Cub, right-handed hitting catcher, takes a strike. It's 0-1. So the White Sox first and second, and nobody out. Soto 26 games with the Angels last year. His first year in the big leagues with the Cubs to this point has been his best. No balls and a strike. Davidson at second, Garcia at first. And it's no balls and 2 strikes to Giovanni Soto.
Soto was kind of a puzzle also. When earlier on in his career came up in a lot of fanfare. People questioned, well, what's the inner drive? Was the journey completed getting to the big leagues?
A liner off to the right and out of play.
Just noticed at spring training for fans too, someone just got handcuffed with that line drive, the foul ball, and got booed.
Oh. Slight breeze blowing in. Some white puffy clouds off in the distance, but overhead it's a bright blue sky. Pitch in the dirt, kicks past Grandal to the backstop. And so Davidson will go to third. Soto will go to second on the wild pitch. And Wood is struggling here.
Ball down in the dirt, but that's a learning process really for both. For Alex Wood, yes, the breaking ball was in the dirt, but also if you're looking at Yasmani Grandal, he tried to backhand the ball that was in the dirt. Well, that's something that they will work on. That's the advantage of spring training. And you're looking at different things because that's a ball in between your feet. Palm of your hand wants to be up.
And a ground ball slowly hit to the right side of the infield. Seguin flipped to first with Wood covering. Out at first. Davidson comes in to score, and the Cubs take a 1-0 lead.
Work on it every day in spring training with pitchers covering the bag. And it's just a very good move by Alex Wood to go up into the air and have to reach above his head, get the ball, find the bag, gets the out.
So a 1-0 lead for the White Sox. Soto with a fielder's choice RBI. And Davidson scores. Garcia is at third. The Dodgers have the infield in, and a line drive to center field. Tolles retreating. He'll make the catch. Tagging and scoring is Garcia. A 2-0 White Sox lead. For Sanchez, the RBI on the sac fly.
What is it that managers and coaches and front office personnel are looking for in spring training, particularly in the early goings? Well, they know that the bats, the timing is going to be off. The pitching is not going to be extremely sharp unless you're Clayton Kershaw. But what about the plays? Rundown plays. Are people going to the right area? Do you hit cutoff men? Are you positioned the correct way? Are you getting the jump? Are you seeing the ball?
Now Liriano fouls it off to the right. 0-1. Reiber Liriano.
And by seeing the ball, I'm talking about from a defensive standpoint. You're not watching the ball from the pitcher's hand into home plate. No, you can't. And the reason is your eyes cannot go one direction 90 miles an hour and follow that flight and then go, if it's hit, go the opposite direction. So you know the pitcher's going to release it. You're looking at the hitting zone, the strike zone.
Liriano takes high and inside. It's 1-1.
But reading the ball off the bat. You know, the pitchers and catchers have been in camp a little bit longer than the position players. And the first couple of games are not a whole lot of fun for a lot of hitters.
1-1 high strike on the outside corner. 1-2.
There's another thing too, Charlie, is that these guys know what they can do. There's muscle memory, but the timing isn't quite there. It's going to get closer and closer, but it's going to take 2 to 3 weeks for the hitters to really start to feel comfortable.
Liriano on 1 and 2, swings and misses, and that will end the inning. So Wood strikes out. Liriano, a couple of runs for the White Sox, 2 hits. It's 2-0 Chicago as we go to the bottom of the second. reminder, the 2017 Dodgers season tickets are available now. For a limited time only, enjoy exclusive benefits and great savings starting as low as $13 per game. Or for greater flexibility while enjoying exciting matchups and promotional nights, purchase a mini plan. Visit Dodgers.com/tickets. Jock Peterson stepping in. Left-handed hitting center fielder takes a strike, and it's 0-1. It'll be Peterson, Puig, and Tolles to hit for the Dodgers in the second. White Sox with 2 in the top half of the second inning. Fulmer into the wind. Ground ball, right side, fielded by George Lombard. First base, Chris Woodward, the Dodgers' third base coach. And, of course, Rick Honeycutt is pitching coach again, and Bob Guerin, the bench coach. That entire group from top to bottom did such an outstanding job for the Dodgers last year as they won the division by 4 and finished 20 games over 500. And for a time had the Cubs on the ropes. Peterson takes high and outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. There's a greater sense, I think, Mo, about the certainty of this team, as certain as one can be on the 25th of February. Here's the 1-2, fouled off to the left and out of play. Last year, you had the rookie manager and a new coaching staff. The guts of this team is essentially the same as last year. There's been some tweaking, of course, with the arrival of Logan Forsythe, Franklin Gutierrez. Chase Utley is back in a different capacity. And so depth, which was one of the strengths of the Dodgers last year, seems to be even deeper this year as Peterson takes high and outside, 2-2.
I think overall perspective, the Dodgers had the type of season you have to look at and really say, my, what exactly did we see last year? Because there's not too many teams that could have answered the bell as they did. We'll get to that point in a second.
Here's the 2-2. Peterson takes high and outside, 3-2.
Here's the reason. A record time for the franchise. 55 players were used. 31 different pitchers. Now, both records in that area. They saw 28 different players on the disabled list, the most of any team in the last 30 years.
Now Peterson swings and misses, down on strikes. Fulmer's second strikeout of the game. It's the first out of the second.
But if you're going to evaluate teams last year, oh yes, the Chicago Cubs, and our hats off to them, and we will see them soon win the World Series, the World Championship. But for the Dodgers, 28 different players on the disabled list. Talk about depth and how they were able to mix and match, and who's going to be called up, who's with the club, who's in uniform from a day-to-day basis. Really remarkable.
And remember all the time that was missed by Kershaw. Made only 21 starts. Puig is a hitter, and he grounds it slowly up the third baseline foul, and it's 0-1.
The other part of that we talked about in postseason play last year. There were 206 different roster changes. So baseball operations with the Dodgers. Talk about working full-time and burning midnight oil.
No balls on a strike. Puig fouls it back. It's 0-2.
Well, Pig just showed what happens with hitters because he just got jammed on a ball inside by Carson Fulmer. Tried to fight it off. You see the ball as a hitter, but the first couple of days, yes, you've been taking batting practice, but the ball gets on you. You see it, you think you've got it, and all of a sudden, it's got you.
Here's the 0-2. Low and outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now the Dodgers are hoping and keeping their fingers crossed that Puig can resemble the one they saw when he came up in 2013. When he hit .319 from the 3rd of June on. He was one of the biggest stars in the game. When he swings and misses, he's been struck out. That's 3 strikeouts in a row for Fulmer. There's 2 gone.
Well, the breaking ball away from Yasiel Puig has presented a problem. Now, when he first came up, the first time that we saw him coming to the big league level, and I mean, he was phenomenal. There was nothing that he was not able to accomplish, and the point you didn't take your eyes off of him. But now he's beginning to pull off that breaking ball that's out away from him as he did in that last swing.
Now Andrew Toles stepping in. And Toles had quite a debut for the Dodgers last year. Fouls it off to the left, 0-1. In 48 games, he had .314. He can run with the wind. Solid defender. Terrific all-around athlete. Comes from an athletic family. No balls and a strike. Carson Fulmer has struck out 3 in a row. And Toles wraps it foul up the first base line. It's 0-2. Toles last year hit .370 at Rancho, .314 at Tulsa, .321 at Oklahoma City. And when he arrived with the Dodgers for the end of the season, hit .314. Here's the 0-2. He lines one, but right into the glove of the shortstop, Tim Anderson. And that will end the inning. So Fulmer's retired 4 in a row. Dodgers go quietly. We go to the third. White Sox 2-0.
Of the Los Angeles Dodgers and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Dodgers.
26-year-old Alex Wood out of Charlotte, North Carolina, lives down in Miami now, beginning his second inning of work. And Peter Borges is stepping in. Louis Borges and then Tim Anderson, Melky Cabrera. White Sox 2 runs and 2 hits. And on the first pitch, a slow roll to the shortstop. Seager picks it up, flips it across the body. Borges, a speedy runner, out by a step. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the third.
Well read by Corey Seager. Well read not only the ball, but also that he knew who the batter was. He's had the advantage now of learning these players. Who runs well, Borges does. And Seager comes in right away. Never broke stride. Feels it, throws it, and they just do get Borges.
Tim Anderson, who popped to short in his first at-bat against Clayton Kershaw, takes low and inside. 1 ball and no strikes. Kershaw, they said he'd pitch 1 inning, and he did, and couldn't have done it any better. 11 pitches, 7 strikes. But again, as we talk about in spring training, and that old schoolyard cliche is Anderson swings and misses 1-1. It's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. And between now and the 3rd of April, a Monday at Dodger Stadium, the Padres are in. The 162-game season gets underway for real. Anderson takes high, 2 balls and a strike.
Well, everybody here understands and knows how to play the game. Now it's refining it to where it's no longer a thought process.
The 2-1 outside, 3-1.
And by that I'm talking about its automatic response. We talked earlier about Yasmani Grandal. Turned the glove over to the backhand side and tried to smother the ball. It got under him. Well, those are the things we're talking about. Yeah, he'll get it straightened out. It'll come to where it's just second nature again.
Wood on 3-1 delivers a fastball, a swing and a miss, 3-2.
But when you're having to think about it and then do it, you don't do it as rapidly as when you're able to remove the thought process, and it's second nature.
Tim Anderson, 6'1", 185-pound right-handed hitter, pops one into short right field, and it's going to drop in for a base hit. Fielded a step in foul territory by Puig, and by the time he's able to retrieve it into the infield, on at second base is Tim Anderson. A little bloop double that dropped about a foot fair down the right field line. It's even less than that, a few inches.
Right on it. Amazing that Yasiel Puig threw the ball. His body was moving one direction, and he's able to throw the ball against the grain in the opposite direction. He is fun to watch when he throws the ball.
His body was headed toward the sidewall down the right field line, and heading that way, he was able to throw the ball to second base and made it relatively close. Now Melky Cabrera fouls it off to the right, and it's 0-1. White Sox with a 2-0 lead. One out. Tim Anderson is at second base. Both runs, all three hits off Alex Wood. And the veteran switch hitter Melky Cabrera on 0-1. Rolls it foul up the third baseline. And it's 0-2. Nick Capra is the third base coach for the White Sox. Darrell Boston. Boston still looks like he could play. The first base coach. Cabrera waits the 0-2. Anderson leads from second. Wood delivers. Ground ball right side, righted. Logan Forsythe picks it up, throws to first. Going to third on the play is Anderson, 2 out. Forsythe made a fundamentally sound play, stood right in front of the ball and had his hands down, picked it up and threw him out.
Got the tailgate down and was cognizant of what the runner was going from second to third, if he was going to get a full turnover at third base or not.
Now Jose Abreu grounded to third in his first at bat. We're in the top half of the third inning. Tomorrow it's the Brewers. We'll be over in Maryvale. Rich Hill to go for the Dodgers. And we'll have a simulcast for you on that. Then on the radio, pregame at 11:30. First pitch at 12:05 local time. No balls and a strike. There's a strike. 0-2. 0-2.
Bray is not afraid to swing the bat. Alex Wood is cognizant of that. Abreu out of Cuba. Played over there for a number of years with the White Sox. Each of the last 3 years, he's hit 36, 30, and 25 home runs over those 3 years.
Here's the 0-2. He lines one. Oh, and a diving, leaping stab by Logan Forsythe. Ball rifled off the bat of Abreu, and Forsythe makes the play to end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left after 2.5. White Sox 2-0. 6'3", 230-pounder Chris Beck. He's 26. Georgia born and bred. And last year between Charlotte and the White Sox. In Charlotte, 22 appearances, 7 starts. But with the White Sox, 2-2 and a 6.39 ERA in 25 appearances, all out of the bullpen. Big right-hander set. Rob Seguin on the first pitch, grounds one easily to shortstop. Tim Anderson picks it up, throws across the diamond. Seguin retired on 1 pitch. So Carson Fulmer went 2 innings for manager Rick Renteria. No runs and a hit, 3 strikeouts and a walk. Beck, a second-round pick in 2012. And has had 74 days of major league meal money. Now Forsythe, right-handed hitting second baseman. Takes a fastball high, 1 ball and no strikes. So Forsythe is by and large going to be the everyday second baseman for the Dodgers, and Chase Utley now serving as the understudy. Here's the 1-0. Forsythe tried to check a swing but went around. It's 1 ball, 1 strike.
Not a bad understudy, by the way. And the guy that'll be the first one to tell you that, the importance of having someone like Chase Utley last year, well, he was a National League Rookie of the Year. We're talking about Corey Seager.
Here's the 1-1. Outside and low, 2-1.
I thought Seager's comments, so yesterday or day before, and Corey's on deck, he will follow Forsythe. He said, I didn't really know how to get ready for a game and what to do during a game or even after a game. And then I observed Chase Utley.
Here's the 2-1. Swing and a miss by Forsythe. It's 2-2.
And Forsythe is out of that same type of a mold. But for Corey Seager, he learned a great deal from the gentleman to his left, that being Chase Utley, looking from a shortstop position, and also to his right was Justin Turner.
2 balls and 2 strikes, and the pitch on the way is outside and low, 3-2.
And for Utley looking on, getting a chance. He's always in the game. If he's physically not in it, he is mentally in it. And it's going to be an adjustment for Chase Utley now to figure out, well, does he have to make alterations in his preparation to come off the bench at times, either hit or play defense?
The 3-2. Forsythe with a fly ball to right center field. Retreating as Garcia can't get it. It's over his head. 1 hop to the wall. Forsythe will hold at second base. It appeared to be playable. There's no wind to speak of. But Garcia turned it into an adventure.
Well, Garcia, I think, was fooled also. This is a breaking ball that is elevated. And for Forsythe, shows how strong he is. That ball's out away from him. He goes the opposite direction. Initially, Garcia came back, didn't think it was going to go as far as it wound up going, but at 1 hops just to the right of the 380 mark. And there's really no breeze at all. That's just strength.
Corey Seager stepping in. Now Seager with Forsythe at second base. Corey flied to center field in his first at bat. Takes high and away. 1 ball and no strikes. So the Dodgers feel especially good about their infield, what with Turner and Seager and Forsythe and Adrian Gonzalez. Turner on deck. Seager awaits. Beck set, and the pitch. Foul back to the screen, and it's 1-1. Corey will turn 23 at the end of April. .308, 26 home runs, 72 runs batted in last year, and an on-base percentage of .365. Beck steps off the rubber, chases Forsythe back to second.
And Seager was just a joy to watch, really on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. As a hitter, we saw teams attempt to do all different types of things. They tried to change speeds against him. They tried to go with breaking balls against him. They tried to jam him with fastballs up and in and then go away. All different scenarios.
1-1. Seager takes inside and low 2-1. Blocked in the dirt by Giovanni Soto. Wants to get a new ball from home plate umpire Pat Hoberg.
And Charlie, part of that just incredible season by Corey Seager is the fact that his recognition of patterns that teams were attempting to use against him to get him out as a hitter. He recognized it. He made adjustments when needed. You're not always going to be successful, but his success rate was really something to watch last year.
Turner awaits in the on-deck circle. The 2-1 from Beck to Seager is outside. 3-1. We were talking about Chase Utley and how he was the mentor to Corey Seager, and how he went about his business day in and day out, how to approach pitching. It was an older brother, younger brother pairing that was seamless. Here's the 3-1. Seager takes outside and high, ball 4. Now Justin Turner coming up. JT walked in his first at-bat. White Sox with a 2-0 lead. First and second, one out here in the bottom of the third. Forsythe the lead at second, Seager the lead at first. The outfield is straight away for Turner. They signed the 3-year free agent deal. So the Dodgers, one of the things they wanted to do going into this new year was basically maintain their nucleus, and that they did. The re-signing of Turner and Hill and Kenley Jansen. First and second, one out. Turner fouls it off to the right. And it's 0-1. And then they were able to bring back Utley as the seasoned veteran presence off the bench, and Franklin Gutierrez. So a team that lived and died with his depth last year seems to have gotten even deeper in this offseason. So Dave Roberts in his second year. Tough act to follow after being manager of the year in his rookie season.
Well, so many teams, they say, we have a chance to win if we stay healthy. Well, the Dodgers did not remain healthy, but they won.
No balls and a strike. Grandal on deck. Beck delivers. Ground ball up the middle into center field for a base hit. Forsythe rounding third. He's on his way home. The ball bobbled in center by Borges. Seager goes to third. RBI single for Turner. The Dodgers are on the board. It's the White Sox 2 and the Dodgers 1.
Tried to sneak a pitch by Justin Turner, who becomes even a better hitter, in my opinion, when people are on base. Ball out away from him. Initially, Forsythe had to make sure that the ball did not hit him. He held up. Borges really had no chance to get Forsythe at home plate, but Borges just boxed it. And taking advantage, full advantage, was Corey Seager, who saw the ball was bobbled, scampers to third.
Runners at the corners, one out, one in. Grandal stepping in. Yasmani Grandal a single to center field in his first at-bat. So the White Sox 2, the Dodgers 1. Woke up this morning in Arizona. The temperature here was 37 degrees. Now it's about 60, 62. But sitting in the sun, and everybody is here at the moment, It couldn't be a more lovely day. Grandal, the switch hitter. 1 ball and no strikes. Takes high and away, 2-0. So Chris Beck having his issues. He got Seguin to bounce out on the first pitch of the inning. But Forsythe doubled over the head of Garcia in right. Seager walked, and Turner with an RBI single. So the Dodgers first and third.
Talked earlier about some pitchers. The curveball isn't there yet, and for Beck, it has not been here.
The 2-0 is a fly ball to right. Garcia's got a long way to run. He can't get it. Bounces off the base of the wall. Seager comes in to score. Turner will be held at third. A stand-up double for Yasmani Grandal. The Dodgers have tied the White Sox at 2.
Looked like another breaking ball. Oh, it was going to be an off-speed pitch, and Grandal stays with it very nicely indeed. You know, the early part of spring training too, Charlie, we see pitches, well, he's getting cuffed around a little bit here and there. Well, there's sometimes you say, look, today, regardless of how hard I'm getting hit, we're going to work on the changeup. We're going to work on the curveball, or maybe it's the slider. And that's how pitchers sometimes will try and make the progression during spring training. Well, Beck may say, if we have a progression we're trying to make, we need to alter it right now.
Franklin Gutierrez serving as the DH today. Runners at second and third. Grounds it slowly to third. A diving stop by Davidson. Picks it up, throws across the diamond. Gutierrez is retired. In to score on the infield ground out is Turner. Dodgers' third run of the third. They take a 3-2 lead. Ball wasn't hit terribly hard. Davidson to his left picked it up on one knee, and in to score was Turner, and Gutierrez with a fielder's choice RBI.
And it goes back to Corey Seager seeing heads up, running aggressively to second base on the ball that was boxed by Borges in center field. So instead of Seager being at second base, he was able to go over to third base. It pays off. Infield out, you get another run.
And Jock Peterson stepping in. The Dodgers 3-2 here. And Jock takes inside and low, 1 ball and no strikes. 3 runs and 4 hits for the Dodgers. 2 runs and 3 hits for the White Sox. Grandal leads from second. Peterson awaits the 1-0. Here it comes, and he gets under it. Fly ball into routine right center field. Peter Borges camped underneath it. He'll make the catch, and that will end the inning. Dodgers come up with 3 runs, 3 hits, leave 1, and lead 3-2 after 3. On the radio side, we're going to take a pause here for 10 seconds for station identification on the Dodgers radio network. Charlie Steiner, Rick Monday. It's the first game of the exhibition season, the first of 38 games before now and opening day. Josh Raven, the hard-throwing right-hander, is now on in relief. The Dodgers made a couple of other changes. Darnell Sweeney has taken over at third base, and Kike Hernandez has taken over at short, so Turner gets the rest of the day off, and so does Corey Seager, as Matt Davidson steps in to lead it off in the fourth. Alex Wood went 2 innings. Gave up 2 runs and 3 base hits. 1 strikeout, no walks, and Raven, who can muscle it up 100 miles an hour or better, delivers a strike, 0-1. Wood threw 29 pitches, 22 for strikes. Raven deals. There's a swing and a miss. And it's 0-2. Davidson, a single and a run scored in his first at-bat. Avisail Garcia on deck. Giovanni Soto to follow. And now the 0-2. Swung on it. Missed, strike 3. Raven with a slider. I mean, Raven's bread and butter is his ability to throw near triple digits. That's a pretty nasty looking breaking ball.
The other thing, too, is he's not afraid to go with the breaking ball nor to work with it. But the key for any guy, and especially those like Raven, can throw hard. If you can get the fastball over and just power some guys, it puts a whole different approach into the minds of hitters. And all of a sudden, boom, you put a wrinkle into it, and Raven gets the first batter with his punch out.
Now Garcia stepping in. He singled and scored a run in his first at-bat. Dodgers 3-2. We're in the 4th inning. Raven deals. Swinging a foul back and out of play, and it's 0-1.
This may be one of those seasons also for Raven. If he can remain healthy and just continue to progress as a pitcher, and the confidence, we saw that kind of develop. But out of Chatsworth High School, resides in Tarzana.
And he throws real hard. There's a breaking ball for a strike. 0-2.
Hello.
Boy, if he can match that breaking ball.
There's so many younger players that come up, the hard-throwing pitchers, that they've been able to progress, whether in high school or college or the lower minors. That's their bread and butter. Guys can't catch up to it. Oh, maybe one guy on a team, 2 guys on a lower level. Well, they can all hit it here.
The 0-2 is high and inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
But what can you do to supplement that good, lively fastball? Boy, that's a nice thing to go. It's like a built-in shopping cart that has the meat and potatoes in it already when you go into the grocery store, and all you're adding are all little things to go with that dinner.
Here's the 1-2. Fouled off to the right now to play. Ravens big fella, 6'4", 237. Grew up in West Hills, went Chatsworth. Fifth-round pick of the Reds in 2006. Then to the Brewers, and now with the Dodgers. On 1-2, breaking ball, fly ball, into right, slicing toward the line, and it drops in for a base hit and then kicks over the sidewall for a grounds rule double. Wade gave it a good run and just came up short. Maybe a foot or 2 fair, and when all is said and done, there's Garcia at second base with a double.
Play to analyze. You see the big swing, and it looked like it was maybe hit off the end of the bat, and that ball just kind of flares like the frisbee, just continues to float down the line.
Now Giovanni Soto stepping in. Soto, a fielder's choice RBI in his first at-bat. First pitch, fly ball, center field. Andrew Toles came running in, then he decides to run back. Good idea. Makes the catch, tagging, and going to third base is Garcia. Soto flies to left. There's 2 out.
Well, hit pretty deep. Remember Andrew Toles last year? We saw him throw out a lot of guys, and we saw runners get up and turn and say, "What, you threw me out?" He has an amazingly strong arm. Do not get confused with the fact that he doesn't stand 6'5". He throws like he's 6'5".
And he runs extremely well. Yolmer Sanchez stepping in. And he lines up base hit into right field. In to score is Garcia, and the White Sox have tied the score at 3. And Sanchez has 2 of the 3 runs batted in for the White Sox. See the best baseball players in the world chase for a title for their country when the World Baseball Classic comes to Dodger Stadium March 20th through the 22nd. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit Dodgers.com/WBC. Here's Reimer Liriano. Struck out in his first at-bat. Dodgers and White Sox are tied at 3. They will visit one another during the regular season. Dodgers will play in Chicago July 18th and 19th. And the White Sox will return the favor at Dodger Stadium August 15th and 16th.
It will be considerably warmer July on the south side of Chicago than it will be in April when the Dodgers make their first visit to the north side against the Cubs.
Oh, can't wait for that first trip for the Dodgers.
Oh, begins in Denver.
When anything can happen in early April. Liriano takes a strike, 0-1.
It could, in Denver, it could be beach volleyball or downhill skiing. You just don't know which. And then on to Chicago.
Well, bring the Johnnies. Peter Borges on deck, tied at 3, 2 out, runner at first, and the pitch on the way. Runner goes, throw to second base, and out at second base.
The ball was dropped. And the runner's going back to first. Well, the umpire never did signal that the ball had come out of the glove.
Now time called, and Lance Barrett, who made the call.
Well, they're going to get together. Alex Tosi, I believe, is the umpire that made the call. They move around a lot. That was a very quick release on the ball, but the umpire was blocked, and the ball rolls away from the infielder about 15 feet. Now the runner also gave up.
He was heading back to the dugout.
Yeah, because he's saying, okay, I'm ruled out. Now they're going to advance the runner, and they have to. Without peril, you don't have to go back.
So I imagine it'll go as E4, bobbled by Forsythe. It was a short hop throw. Certainly got Sanchez in plenty of time. And now they're going to call it a stolen base. Well, either way, there's a runner at second base in Sanchez. No balls, 2 strikes, and 2 out. Liriano, right-handed hitter, awaits the pitch, and Raven steps off the rubber. Well, it's spring training for everybody. First game, no less. On 0-2, Raven delivers high. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. A run in here in the top of the 4th. White Sox and Dodgers are tied at 3. Toles in left. Chris Taylor is in center. Yasiel Puig in right. Raven set at the belt. Here comes the pitch. Outside and high. And it's 2-2.
Talk about umpires. At Dodgertown in Vero Beach, they had the finals of umpires trying to get into professional baseball and into minor league baseball. There were 120 umpires over 5 or 6 weeks for 20 spots was all.
Here's the 2-2 outside, and it gets past Grandal, goes to the backstop, and Sanchez goes to third.
Now, this is where Grandal could backhand the ball, tried to slide out, keep it in front of him.
Well, a couple of veteran umpires have retired. Jim Joyce, one of the best of his generation. Bob Davidson retired in the offseason. Here's a 3-2 swung on it, missed strike 3. Mariano down on strikes. Raven gets out of the mess. 1 run, 2 hits, 1 left. We are tied at 3 after 3.5. We are in the appropriately named Valley of the Sun. It's the Dodgers and the White Sox in the first exhibition game of the 2017 season. The choice is clear at Nissan now. Hurry in for big savings on their award-winning lineup, available with intelligent safety features. Shop at your local Nissan dealer and at ChooseNissan.com. Yasiel Puig to lead it off in the bottom of the 4th. Chris Beck, the second pitcher of the afternoon for the White Sox, and the first pitch is low and outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Don't stray too far. Coming up in the next inning, our old friend Richard Justice, the great National Baseball columnist from MLB.com, will come up and chew the fat with us for a while. Puig, Tolles, and Rob Segedin to hit for the Dodgers here in the bottom half of the 4th. Puig fouls it off to the right. It's 1-1. Puig, a strikeout victim in his first at-bat. Well, the Dodgers, of course, keeping their fingers crossed that Puig can be the Puig of 2013 again. He grounds it to short. Anderson picks it up and easily throws out Puig for the first out of the 4th.
Charlie, there's another part of a player that's trying to find himself again, like Yasiel Puig, and not to select him in particular, but obviously his importance with the Dodgers. It's a word that's very seldom used by a professional athlete, but I think it comes into the fold. It's not just trying to refine the swing. A lot of confidence. And it is a word that athletes don't want to discuss on their own, but there is a level of confidence that at times is fleeting, and there are other times that you have to recapture it.
Andrew Tolles, the hitter, lined to short in his first at-bat, and he lines it to second in his second at-bat. Right into the glove of Sanchez, and there's 2 out.
But there are a few words that in professional sports you don't use. You know, fear is probably one of them. Anyone that has competed And Doug didn't realize he was going to drift into pet peeves, but the word choke is normally used by people that have never had to produce under any kind of a pressure. Notice the word that's thrown out there, sometimes misdirected.
Now the hitter, Seguin, takes low and outside. 1 ball, no strikes.
But confidence is such a fragile issue because every night it's another game, another challenge. You're successful and you fail at times. You fall short of your expectations and others for that matter.
1 ball, no strikes. Low and outside. 2-0.
And one of the things that Dave Roberts did had nothing to do with him being the manager of the year in his rookie year. But Dave Roberts and his coaching staff, they are confidence builders. Oh, they're teachers of the game of baseball on how to play it, how to have the passion and what you're expected to be able to do. But building confidence.
Seguin on 2-0 takes low and outside. 3 balls, no strikes.
And how do you do that? Well, you walk up and you put your arm around a guy that you know is struggling. How do you know he's struggling? You've been there. You've been there. You've done it. You cannot play this game and not appreciate the fact is that, folks, this is not as easy from the inside out as it is from the outside in looking at it.
Beck on 3-0. Seguin takes a 4-pitch walk. And here's somebody you're going to keep your eye on this year, mostly at AAA, we would think. But it's just a matter of time before Cody Bellinger makes it to the big league. Bellinger is going to be pinch hitting here for Logan Forsythe.
So Bellinger last year not only doing it from a first base position, he played surprising center field. Surprising from a standpoint is he has a lot of range, and his swing, what we saw is that this guy has a very bright future.
Left-handed batter, open stance, stands practically upright and takes a strike on the inside corner, and it's 0-1.
He's learning his swing from his hand position. It looks at times as the swing is going to be a little bit long. In other words, you carry the bat a long way before you actually get into the hitting zone. But he's able to make that transition and use the hands very well. And very smooth defensively.
He's major league ready defensively. There's no question about that. Here comes the 0-1, and he swings and fouls it off to the left. And it is 0-2.
Yeah, for those that are on the simulcast, you see he holds the hands high to begin with. Every hitter has a timing mechanism where you do something. Well, the bat is down, then he brings it up, and there's a slight hitch, not from dropping the hands, but there's a pronation with his wrist, and there's nothing wrong with the hitch if you start it soon enough to where you allow the bat to get back into a solid starting position. And Bellinger's able to do that.
Kike Hernandez on deck. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Seguin leads from first. Beck set at the chest, and the pitch is popped up. Behind the plate, Soto sheds the mask. Near the backstop, he makes the catch, and that will end the inning. No runs, no hits, a walk and a man left. We go to the 5th. The White Sox and Dodgers are tied at 3. Dodgers. So Cody Bellinger stays in the game at first base. And the Dodgers have a new pitcher, Madison Youngener. I guess he's the other Madison in National League pitching. I'm just going out on the limb. I could be wrong.
Make sure it's a large limb.
That's Rick Monday. I'm Charlie Stunner. We are joined by our old dear friend Richard Justice, one of the great baseball columnists, MLB.com, who's been on the beat forever. So we're going to get a State of the Union of the national pastime with Richard as we go to the fifth. The White Sox and Dodgers are tied at 3 as Peter Borges leads it off for the Sox. And Youngener deals a breaking ball high. And it's 1-1. So going into the season, Richard, overall view of the state of Major League Baseball.
The state of the game is good. I mean, there's parity. As we sit here today, probably 25 teams see a path to the postseason. It's been that way for a couple of years now, but it's being played out in the postseason. Small market clubs are winning, big market clubs are winning, and let's go play.
And the best team in baseball last year, in fact, won the World Series.
That is true. That is true. Now, on day one, are the Cubs better than the Dodgers right now? That would be a good debate to have. Somebody asked me the other day, so you take Cubs and Indians or you take the field? Given the history, I would take the field.
So what is your sense of this Dodger club? Again, it's the 25th day of February.
Right.
We're 38 games until opening day. And so we can play the role of those magazines and see how wrong we're going to be in 6 months. Ground ball to short. Kike Hernandez picks it up, throws low, and dug out by that Gold Glove caliber first baseman, Cody Bellinger. Boy, he made that look easy.
You know, I think you start with the fact that the Dodgers have the best pitcher in baseball, and they have one of the 5 best position players in baseball. So you have cornerstones, young cornerstones in Corey Seager. And I noticed that 5 of their 8 position players that are on the depth chart now are under 30 years old, and Logan Forsythe just turned 30. And I think this is more depth than they've ever had because guys like Brock Stewart and Grant Dayton and Andrew Tolles, the guys that they weren't even in big league camp last year, right? Come up, and so it gives you a lot of flexibility, plus the guys you bring in like Gutierrez. So, you know, you got to play it out. But the one thing Andrew Friedman's great at is developing a big depth chart, and, you know, it served him pretty well last year.
And again, as you mentioned, getting Gutierrez, bringing back Utley in now a role position as opposed to the everyday player.
Well, Andrew Friedman said this morning, he said, look, sometimes when you finish a season, no matter where you finish, how you finish, you think, we've got to change this club. There are things we don't like about the club. When we finished last year, we thought, we want to bring this club back. We like what we have. We like it in the clubhouse. We like it on the field. Let's saddle up and see if these guys, see what happens when you let them play again.
Tim Anderson is the White Sox shortstop. Snowballs, I make it now 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. We're in the top half of the 5th. Game 1 of 38. Off-Broadway Productions, and Anderson swings and misses. He's been struck out. Raven with a breaking ball, and it's the 2nd out of the inning.
Richard, do we see more teams, and you talk to more teams than what we have, at least at our disposal? Are more teams going to this now? Hey, look, we need to utilize our entire roster and build them up. And the Dodgers had 28 different players on the disabled list, 206 different roster changes, and really made a point on expanding their overall approach on how they go after a season initially.
Yeah, and I think Andrew Friedman said, when you build depth in the offseason, it's not sexy. It's not what you're talking about. It doesn't get the headlines. And you hope you don't have to utilize it. But last year they had to utilize all of it. And I think teams more and more, and I believe Andrew may have started this, you guys may know better than me, in Tampa, like, you have to spend for pitching. But you can work a lineup around, you can do some platoons and stuff, and maybe do it a different way.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Melky Cabrera, chopper to short, picked up by Kike Hernandez, throws across the diamond to Bellinger. A 1-2-3 inning, nothing across for the White Sox. Richard Justice joining us. We go to the bottom half of the 5th. Sox and Dodgers are tied at 3. Go to the home half of the 5th inning, and Kike Hernandez will lead it off for the Dodgers. It'll be Kike Hernandez, Chris Taylor. And this is the point of the program where lineups are anybody's guess, but good luck, we're all counting on you. So Kike Hernandez, he's going to be battling for a job this season. And on the second pitch, he rolls one to short, and he's thrown out easily, first out of the 5th. One of the many reasons Richard Justice from MLB.com is here today was to cover the 1 inning, 11 pitch, 7 strike performance of Clayton Kershaw.
So one of the most amazing things, Ken Gurnick took me down to the bullpen when he went to warm up and goes, watch this. You walk through there, Clayton is warming up. Every Dodger is up watching him throw, all the coaches, all the training staff, and all that. And I said, I think that's a sign of respect. And, you know, 2 years ago when he won the Cy Young, when he was awarded the Cy Young in New York at the baseball writers dinner, he did a thing that was the sweetest thing I think I've ever seen a player do. What his speech was, he took everybody through his day at Dodger Stadium. But he wasn't really taking people through his day at Dodger Stadium. He was giving credit to the strength coach, to the trainers, to the video guy. He mentioned them all by name. In other words, I've had a lot of success, but I've got a great support staff with the Dodgers. I just saw it. That tells you so much about what this guy's made of.
Above and beyond his extraordinary physical abilities, he's the toughest hombre around.
Yeah, and what Rich Hill and Scott Kazmir and those guys say is he does everything with a purpose. He's completely focused. Like he went and threw some pitches in the bullpen after his start today. He wasn't happy with his changeup, and at one point he's down there screaming at himself. He yelled at it, and he threw one changeup in the game and didn't like that. That tells you. And you know, Charlie, you look at the body of work now, and he's still in the prime years of his career. This guy's not going to the Hall of Fame. He's going to be in that conversation, the best ever conversation.
You know, we talk about Koufax, and again, you can argue all you want about the number of starts, number of innings in a different time and place. But Sandy had 6 Koufaxian years, and 6 rather pedestrian until he became Sandy Koufax. Taylor lost one to right field, and it's going to slice into the stands. 2 balls and a strike. Well, here's Kershaw now, entering his 8th, 9th year, and you know statistically you can now begin to make some comparisons. Again, different time, different place, number of starts, and all of that. And you have a Pedro Martinez kind of impact on the game, and we're witnessing as Taylor swings and misses down on strikes, second out of the inning. I mean, we are witnessing a once-in-a-generation kid.
Right, and that we would even have a conversation and mention the 2 words Sandy and Koufax tells you what we think of him, because the guys of another generation, Frank Robinson and Willie Mays, those guys, you know how those guys felt about pitchers. They all, including Frank, put Sandy in another place. You know, I hate pitchers. I hate Sandy. He was different, and that we could even mention Clayton tells you the body of work this guy's building up.
And so here he is, albeit 1 inning, starting the exhibition season. He's going to start on opening day, and when the Dodgers, assuming they get into the postseason, you know he's the opener. Yeah.
And he prides himself on taking the ball. And, you know, you ask him today about the back. Is it any problem? No, all's good with the back and all that. You know, he has this routine, and he's totally focused. Somebody saw him this morning and said, would he be reading a scouting report before game 1? He said, well, I wouldn't think so. But with him, that's different. He's on a different. And today was the day he pitched. You know, guys pitching an exhibition game, they're talking. No, he was pretty locked in. It was a day at the office.
Charlie Culberson is a hitter. He breaks his bat, rolls one to third. Davidson throws wide. And arriving at first on the error is Charlie Culberson.
Well, to stay focused on Clayton Kershaw, Charlie and I have the luxury of seeing him on a daily basis. And whether he has been on, if you will be, or if he's had a rugged outing, which doesn't happen too often, he's the first one to ballpark the next day. He's the first one out on the field, and his regiment that he goes through, that he's relating to you, Richard, is impeccable. It is demanding. And when he warms up, if you were a young pitcher, you best pay attention, because this guy is setting his sights extremely high.
Yeah, and I think Rich Hill and Scott Kazmir both mentioned that today, as Dave Roberts did. Like other guys are not going to have Clayton's stuff. But you can have Clayton's work ethic. And they said you just want to follow him around and do what he does, because it's the gold standard. You know, I guess you don't get to be great by just being good physically. There has to be a burning desire in another part, and he's got that.
Scott Van Slyke is pinch hitting here for Franklin Gutierrez. 2 out, a runner at first in the bottom half of the 5th. And the White Sox and Dodgers tied at 3, and Van Slyke, battling through a slew of injuries last year, is fresh as a daisy this spring. And so again, part of that depth you were talking about, Richard, and what is presumably going to make this Dodger team different from the rest. Here's the 2-1. The runner goes Culberson, and Van Slyke swings and fouls it back, and it's 2 balls.
Like guys like a guy like Logan Forsythe, he's the second baseman, but if needed, he can play first. He's willing to do other things, and I think one of the things that teams value now is it almost saves you a roster spot when you got a guy that can and will do different things, and that's a commodity we've started. The Ben Zobrist era, we've started to appreciate it.
Van Slyke, for instance, corner outfield, first base.
And from a player standpoint, if you can add versatility to your calling card, your value increases a great deal.
Well, they told Ben Zobrist the first spring, we want you on the team, but you're going to have to move around. Are you willing to do that? And he goes, you didn't. He goes, absolutely.
Van Slyke grounds to third. Davidson picks it up, throws him out, and that'll end the inning. No runs, no hits. 1 error, 1 left. We go to the 6th. We're tied at 3. Eyes on Fabio Castillo, who had Double-A with the Padres organization last year. 7 starts, a .438 earned run average, and a fellow named Danny Hayes is now going to hit for the White Sox. So yeah, we're at that portion of the program, boys and girls, as we go to the 6th inning, and it's truck month. Make a strong decision. Get to your local Chevy dealer and choose the Silverado that's right for you. Chevrolet, find new roads. And We are joined by our long reliever today, Richard Justice from MLB.com. All right, so got to ask you this. You've been around as long as we have. What's with this intentional walk stuff?
Well, I'll tell you what's with the intentional walk stuff is that Major League Baseball, just keep in mind, the two sides just agreed to the largest, fattest labor agreement ever, 5 years. And so then there was these series of...
First batter, Danny Hayes grounds to third, left-handed hitter. Darnell Sweeney picks it up, throws to Bellinger, one gone.
So baseball gave the players union a whole series of things. Up in the strike zone to counter the fact that strikeouts are up. Pitch clock, because it's worked in the Arizona Fall League pretty seamlessly. What else? Limiting trips to the mound. And the automatic intentional walk was part of that, just to speed up the game. They couldn't reach it. That was the only thing the players agreed to. Now, baseball has the right to implement it next year, but they would like to have an agreement. So there you go. That's the long answer.
And the short answer is
the short answer is they would like to just pick up the pace. And I will say this, Charlie. Old timers in the game like Doug Melvin, the GM of the Brewers and Rangers scouts who've been to the Fall League and watched it, they say the pitch clock, and I know that's the controversial one, it disappears after a while, and that when you leave the ballpark, and Doug Melvin was inclined not to like one bit of it, but when you leave the ballpark, you think that did have a better pace. And we're having some of our, maybe it was my imagination, but some of our analytics people are looking at it. I sense that when pitchers came up last year, they were working at a little bit brisker tempo.
I personally, as just a consumer of the game, I have no issue with the pitch clock. But again, so many things can potentially happen with the intentional walk. And the intentional walk generally takes place at a fairly dramatic moment of the game. And so when that I remember with the Yankees, Roger Clemens could not throw four bad balls intentionally. And just one of those can alter a game. And the time that it's going to save. How many intentional walks per game are there?
Here are the numbers.
Good.
Here are the numbers. There's two intentional walks in every 5 games is what Major League Baseball came out and said 3 days ago. Okay, so that's 2 intentional walks in 5 games. So if you spread out individual games, okay, so we're going to say 4.5 seconds a game?
Oh, I was under the impression it would be like 4 minutes a game.
The other part,
That's what they're trying to sell.
The very day that it was announced, Texas A&M won their game on a wild pitch on an intentional walk.
Yeah, you are going to have some of that. Your team's going bad, and it's a close game. You're crossing your fingers. But I think the idea was we're going to have a whole series of things. Let's sit down and talk about them. And even the crazy idea.
Willie Garcia's a hitter, and he grounds it slowly to short. Kike Hernandez picks it up, throws him out. Quick 1, 2, 3 inning. See, we pace a game.
There you go.
We're going to continue
strikes.
That's the easy thing. We'll go to the bottom half of the 6th, and we're tied at 3. Oh, we just learned something. It's just it. White Sox lead the major leagues in Giovanni Sotos. They've got a catcher, Giovanni Soto, and now a big left-handed pitcher, Giovanni Soto.
That's why Tommy was leaving the ballpark. He's walking down to the locker room. There's too many Sotos.
He's seeing double.
He's going down to have a Soto.
And drive a DeSoto, and if we got any older, that's not important now, but what is, we go to the bottom half of the sixth. Darnell Sweeney will be leading it off for the Dodgers. He was in the Dodger organization, gone a year, and now he's back again. Came over in the trade that sent Howie Kendrick to the Phillies. So meanwhile, back at the ranch, we're joined by Richard Justice, MLB.com, and we're talking about some of the rule changes. The 1-0 is outside, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. So the only significant rule change going into this season, with the possibility of more to follow, is the elimination of the intentional walk.
Right. They continue to talk. You know, again, they just agreed to a very complicated labor agreement to extend the labor piece.
Sweeney with a fly ball to routine right, and that's caught by Willie Garcia. First out of the bottom of the 6th.
So I would think you have a dialogue, and there's a good relationship on both sides. And let's just bat it back and forth. They do have the right to implement things a year from now, but you know, that's not the way you want to do it. You want to reach an agreement on certain things and have some back and forth between the players and management.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people that go back and forth on the intentional walk, and if you think back to people say, well, it's boring to watch. Well, I think of Joe Ferguson. Intentional walk situation into the sacrifice fly, reached out and got the ball. You go back in the 70s, the World Series with the A's against the Cincinnati Reds, and Johnny Bench was the hitter. And I called it. I'm watching. I said, Dick Williams, the count was 3-2. They set up outside intentionally. The catches, I said, they're going to try and strike him out. By golly, they did. A lot of things can happen.
Brett Eibner is the hitter. Off-season acquisition.
May I give a shout out to this young man? He's from the Woodlands, Texas, where I live. Paul Goldschmidt's high school, Kyle Drabeck's high school. This kid, what you're going to find with him, he is what you're looking for in terms of depth. He can run. He's a fast guy. He's a good outfielder. His swing's a little long, but I think he was hurt last year. When he first got called up by the Royals, he looked like an impact guy as a first-round draft pick. He's got a chance. At some point this season, I would think he's going to help the Dodgers. How's that for a commercial?
All right.
Played with Logan Forsythe at the University of Arkansas.
The University.
Yep.
Here's 2-1. Eibner with the fly ball to right field. Garcia heading back, way back, and it is gone, a home run. And that is why, boys and girls, Richard Justice is a national columnist for MLB.com.
I wish he would have saved it, you know, till July.
Hey, right on cue. How about that?
It's all about timing, Richard, and yours was impeccable. And for Eibner, you can see the swing, and one of the things that happens is that sometimes the swing does get a little bit long, but that ball's out away from him, and he drives it. He gets very good carry on it.
He's a guy that if you carried to a tryout camp, you would love him because he can do every part of the game. And having gotten a taste of it last year with the A's and Royals, no, do you think, Rick? I mean, I think that carries you so much, like you've gotten that first look at it, the speed of the game and all.
Well, you understand that the game, and we talk about it so many different times, the game is a faster-paced game. In other words, the ball travels faster, not necessarily from the mound to the home plate, but things happen much more rapidly with progression of every step level of ball you go to, whether it be A ball, double A, triple A, and into the big leagues.
Dodger hitter now is Tyler Holt, right-handed batter, and the home run by Eibner has given the Dodgers a 4-3 lead.
Along that same line, Charlie and I were talking earlier about a word that you don't hear players discuss very often, but it's kind of along the line of what you're talking about with Eibner. Confidence.
Yeah.
Players don't always say, well, I don't have a lot of confidence in me. They'll keep that quiet. It's an inner turmoil that they have. But confidence in learning, hey, I can play the game at this level.
Well, the exhibition season is longer this year. Spring training is a week longer. teams have more players in camp, more pitchers. Mike Scioscia said last week, he said, I'm telling you, we're going to look at players we would normally look at, and there's going to be a player or two that's going to play in the big leagues because of this opportunity provided by the World Baseball Classic and the extra week of spring training. And I thought that's the way a baseball guy looks at it. Somebody's going to get a chance.
Well, Eibner certainly opens eyes in his first at-bat with the Dodgers. Bobby Wilson, off-season acquisition, backup catcher, is in the on-deck circle. Dodgers 4-3, 1 out, nobody on, a run in here in the bottom of the 6th. And Holt takes inside, and it's 3 balls and 2 strikes. So at the end of the day, at the end of the 25th day of February, who are your division winners and who's going to face who in the World Series? Oh, here's a line drive base hit into right center field off the bat of Tyler Holt.
I think the division winners are sort of clear-cut right now. Red Sox, Indians, Astros in the American League. Maybe the Astros. Seattle's really good, I think, and I think the Angels have a chance to be really good. And then the National League, it's the Cubs, it's the Dodgers, and it's probably the Nationals. Although the Mets have a chance, and then you go from there. But like we talked earlier, you got 18 or 19 other teams that think they're going to end up in October and see a path for themselves to October. And I think don't you think that's good for the game?
Oh, absolutely. And again, the whole notion of the wild card, it involves almost everybody. Bud certainly took his slings and arrows over the course of his what turned out to be Hall of Fame career.
But you would look up on September 1, you'd have 18 teams still playing meaningful games.
Games that matter.
And that, you get to September, and then we got a shot. And the Mariners, I was in the Mariners camp a couple of days ago, or maybe yesterday, and they were in it till game 161.
Yeah.
The Astros in 2 years have played 1 game out of contention. And so you're giving people a reason to show up and cheer, and hope springs.
And the players showing up in games that are meaningful every single day. Boy, there's nothing worse in August and September. You're making your vacation plans for October, November, December, and January.
Well, in some of those cities, they were making it back in April.
But what has happened to Kansas City? It couldn't have been deader as a baseball market. Highest TV ratings in baseball now. The fans have come back completely engaged. And like you remembered what it was in the 80s. It was a great baseball town, and now it's bustling with energy and hope.
And so each division, it would be interesting, for instance, now looking at the West, the Dodgers certainly are in a pretty good spot on February the 25th. How about the Giants? How good can the Rockies be? And what's up with Arizona and San Diego? And a ground ball slowly hit to short, and it's picked up by Anderson, fires across the diamond. Wilson is retired. Holt goes to second. There's 2 out.
Yeah, the Dodgers and the Giants. The Giants feel great about where they are, and if Matt Cain has got another productive year? Their core guys have pretty much been together. But the Diamondbacks and the Rockies are similar in that they both have a lot of young pitching, and if any of that young pitching takes a step forward, they've got a shot, because you look at their lineups. Both of their lineups are pretty good.
The Rockies, when we saw them late last year, 1 through 8, there wasn't an easy out among them.
And it's good that they have maybe one of the best players in the National League in Nolan Arenado, that Carlos Gonzalez. Then they have these kids, Trevor Story and David Dahl and catcher Murphy.
And
it's
Blackman in center field.
Right. It's sort of the way you're supposed to do it. So those pitchers, it's their time, and they always knew that we're going to have pitchers, either draft them or trade for them, send them to the minor leagues, and teach them, ingrain in them that Coors Field is different. It may not be a 2-1 game, but you have to keep competing.
Bellinger is the hitter. 1 ball and no strikes. It's his second at bat. Left-handed hitter. Of course, he's figures to be Adrian Gonzalez's heir apparent a couple of years, and Bellinger swings and misses. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. And you've got now the arrival of Bud Black. in Colorado. Of course, a great pitching coach in his day, a terrific pitcher, good manager. Now going to manage in a place that is not the easiest place to manage.
No, and Don Baylor would tell you that, like, it's almost a different sport, but what you have to instill in your guys is just keep going. It's not going to be pretty every night. And, you know, when you watch a game there, by the second night, you think every ball is going to fly out of the park. It starts to play tricks with you. But what you have to teach your pitchers is you have to throw your curveball. Don't get caught up in the fact the curveball is not going to drift at 5,000 feet or anything like that. Just pitch and compete and look at the scoreboard.
It drove Jim Leyland bonkers.
Yeah, and it was not the game. You know, he was a pitching and defense guy. Well, and I think it drove Don Baylor at different times, like challenged him and everybody that's been there. But they've got a shot now, and I think they see a future that's very bright.
Arizona, of course, has had some difficult years. Bellinger takes a strike on the outside corner, and they are now trying to regroup. We'll see how far they can go. And the Padres, well, miles to go before they sleep.
Yeah, but the Padres they're playing to their general manager, A.J. Preller's strength is going out and acquiring young players. They've spent a ton of money in the international market. I mean, there is a way out. It may not be pretty this year, but there's a path. You just have to stick to the path.
As the Cubs did. Took them 5 years with Theo there. Bellinger swings and misses. He's been struck out. That ends the inning. The Dodgers come up with a run on the Eibner home run, and we thank our old friend Richard Justice for helping us.
I appreciate it. It's been an honor.
Good to see you.
Guys, Rick, thank you.
We'll go to the 7th. Dodgers 4-3. As we head to the 7th inning, Dodgers with a 4-3 lead. And Fabio Castillo beginning his 2nd inning of relief. Big, hard-throwing right-hander. At least in terms of body, very much like Pedro Baez. Big, strong fella. Zach Collins is the hitter. Played A-ball for the White Sox last year, and he's leading it off. And we thank Richard Justice. And if you were with us for the past couple of innings, you know why he is one of the most respected national baseball columnists around. And a nice guy.
A nice guy on top of it.
No 0-2 to Collins. Castillo delivers a fastball. That got up in a hurry. 1-2. So what do you think about the clock? That doesn't bother me as much for some reason as this intentional walk stuff.
Well, actually, I go back and I played with the clock
And a ground ball to first, easily handled by Bellinger. Jogs to the bag. That's the first out of the 7th inning.
Because the clock, folks, is not something that is new. They've had it in the past where there were clocks and the pitchers had to get the ball and get it. It's something that you start to understand better as the game kind of goes along. There are some that want to start bonfires and say, hey, wait, it's not the way the game is going to be played. I don't have a problem with it.
Well, here's Yohan Moncada, who came over in the Chris Sale deal. And a pitch upstairs, 1 ball and no strikes, generally regarded as the top prospect in baseball. And so he was part of the big off-season changes made by the White Sox, and he grounds it to second base where Culberson, a couple of steps to his left, picks it up, throws him out. There's 2 gone. We'll pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Dodgers radio network. Charlie Steiner, Rick Monday, and Dwayne McDonald is handling all the doodads on the fancy stuff back there, keeping us on the air. It's his fault.
I love it when you talk technical. Here's another quick thought about the time, pace of game. The shift is going to be something that you're going to have to deal with. For example, Solarte, third baseman of the San Diego Padres, depending upon the count, and some teams shift more one direction or the other on the count against the batter.
Cody Ashley, the former Philly, is a hitter, and he takes it inside at low 1-1.
And for Solarte, he would go from his third base position when 2 strikes had been registered upon a hitter, left-handed hitter in particular, if you're going to use, and he would wind up in shallow right field. Now, how much is that going to hinder the Padres on using that type of a shift?
The 1-1 is grounded foul up the first base line, and it's 1-2 to Cody Ashley.
So the very nature of the game that now we're seeing more and more and more presented as far as the numbers and the facts and the factoids. Is that going to be a victim of the time clock in moving your defenses around?
Well, you got 30 seconds between pitches. How you choose to use those 30 seconds, if it means somebody moving from third base to short right or whatever, that now affects the pitcher. And if you're going to have a flat 30-second clock, and again, that doesn't bother me as much as the intentional walk, because something weird can happen. And in the space of 30 seconds, all right, this is your time, and that will not alter the game. And if you want to move your people around, use your 30 seconds judiciously. Here's 2-2. Ashley takes high and outside, 3-2.
Well, teams will, I think, also get creative on trying to manufacture ways to stop that clock, such as, I got dust on my eye. I'm a second base. Time. I need my shoelace. It needs to be tied.
You got 30 seconds to fix your shoes and wipe your eye.
Well, you can stop the clock, though, by calling time in an umpire. An umpire, if an infielder turns in and says time, now that umpire is going to have a quandary.
Here's a 3-2. Ashley takes inside and low ball 4. 2-out walk. We're in the top of the 7th. Crowd of 8,474 watching this one as Ashley takes a 2-out walk.
Well, fortunately for Pedro Baez, he's received now a declaration. He received it last year as far as what they meant by you need to slow the game down. He thought that they meant the clock. No, what they were trying to tell him.
Okay.
Slow the game down. Slow the moment down. Don't get caught up in rapid fire.
Adam Engel is a hitter, right-handed batter. Takes it inside and high, 1 ball, no strikes.
And by slow the game down, he took it to extremes, and then they finally explained to him, no, we didn't mean to slow the game physically down. Maury Wills, who we saw last night, the captain. We saw him at dinner. Well, Maury related the story years and years ago, and he was 6th year at the big league level. He had difficulty slowing the game down.
The 1-0, Engel swings and foul tips it into the dirt, 1-1.
And he's told me the story many times on pregame shows. Shortstop, I think Frank Robinson was the batter. Dodgers had to win this ball game. It was late in the season. the winning run, and the tying runs were on base scoring position possibly. Dodgers needed a double play to get out of the inning and win the ball game. And Morey could feel his heart beating faster and faster, and he turned and called time, saying he had to tie his shoe. Well, there's nothing wrong with his shoelaces, but he had to bring the game back to him instead of trying to catch up to the game from an emotional standpoint. And this was his 6th year at the big league level.
And Morey had to wait, what, almost 9 years?
at the minor league level.
Because there was a fellow named Pee Wee Reese getting it.
It was pretty good.
Engel swings and foul tips it with the runner going.
And Pat Holberg, the home plate umpire, has been hit in the chest twice in the last 3 pitches on foul balls.
And so Bobby Wilson, the veteran catcher, turns around and engages in some conversation, and Holberg trying to catch his breath and regroup a bit.
And a lot of different pieces of the puzzle, Charlie. Where was it a couple of years ago? They said, okay, batters cannot leave the batter's box. Oh, my goodness. You would have thought it was going to be a world war. How about when they told the coaches, Larry Bowa was with the Dodgers, you cannot leave the coaching box. Oh, my goodness.
And you had to wear a helmet.
Well, there were protests, but you know, this great game has gotten better and better and better, and sometimes you need to look around and say, look, are there little things we can do to make it even better?
Castillo delivers a breaking ball, call strike 3, and that ends the inning. So Fabio Castillo, couple of innings, very impressive. 7th inning stretch, Dodgers 4, White Sox 3. Go to the bottom half of the 7th inning, and the Dodgers leading it 4-3. Spencer Adams pitched an A-ball last year, 18 starts, had an 8-7 record and a 4.01 ERA, struck out 74, walked 21, opponents hit 275 against him. Well, story of the day to this point, Clayton Kershaw pitched his 1 inning as advertised and was flawless. 1 strikeout, 11 pitches, 7 strikes. And as Richard Justice was telling us, as Adams delivers a strike to Kike Hernandez, 0-1. A lot of the Dodgers were simply watching Kershaw warm up in the bullpen. The reference that they have for him. And this is the first game of spring training. Hernandez bounces to short. It's easily thrown out. First out of the 7th inning. You don't see that much.
No, you don't see it. But if you're cognizant of your surroundings, you might want to pay attention. What is it that sets Clayton Kershaw head and shoulders above others. For example, his bullpen sessions that he has during the season in between time. I mean, it's nothing, and we're not letting the cat out of the bag. Is that he gets irritated himself and yells at himself at times because his expectation level is so high. So he was yelling in the bullpen because he didn't like his after 1 inning toss. Well, he should have been in the shoes of Melky Cabrera, who he struck out with a curveball in the first inning, and Cabrera was probably yelling at himself, "Why did you throw that to me
on day 1 in February?"
That's not fair.
Well, may Clayton stay healthy all year. 1 ball and 1 strike to Chris Taylor, who takes high and inside. 2-1. Of course, last year, Kershaw missed a couple of months, and then come the postseason, he started, he relieved, and at the end of the season, it was Kershaw and Kenley. Here's the 2-2. Taylor lines up base hit into right field. And Chris Taylor is aboard with a 1-out single to right. Dodgers 4 runs and 8 hits. And the White Sox 3 runs and 5 base hits. Back with you tomorrow, Rich Hill will start against the Brewers over in Maryvale. It's about a half-hour's drive from here. The Brewers undergoing some alterations. Charlie Culberson coming. Boy, was he one of the great stories last year. Helping Vin usher off that unbelievable season and final couple of weeks.
And the final game. Hit the home run that hit the foul pole. And the last call that Vin Scully made in a regular season game at Dodger Stadium.
And the postscript was the next weekend up in San Francisco.
And Charlie also asking if it would be okay if he took the bat up to the broadcast booth and asked Vin Scully to sign it.
Culberson with a fly ball to center field. Engel heading back, way back at the wall. He makes the catch. And that's a second out of the inning. And you and I were half a dozen or so in the booth that day. Culberson brought the bat up and helped facilitate all that happening. And just watching the interaction that day between Vin and Charlie. And they were probably chatting for about 10 or 15 minutes. And, of course, Vin's time was parceled out to precious minutes. But for 15 minutes or so, they were back and forth. And Vin finally said, "Would you like me to sign this?" And he did, of course. And then, of course, the next day, Willie Mays went into Vin's booth on the final day. And, of course, they have renamed the visitors' television booth in San Francisco in Vin's honor. And so back-to-back days, Vin had Charlie Culberson and Willie Mays up there. And now Chris Taylor tries to steal second base, and he does. So it's 2 days or so after the final game, and we're going off to Washington to begin the playoffs. And I have an old collection of baseball cards from when I was a kid. And I go into the office, and I have no idea how or why, but it was so cosmic. There was a Willie Mays card from, I think, 59, just sticking out of the pile. Whoa. So I put it into an envelope and brought it with me on the plane. And Van Slyke bounces a base hit into center field. Taylor rounding third, and he will score. Scott Van Slyke with a single to center. And that gives the Dodgers a 5-3 lead. So we get on the plane. We're on our way to Washington. And I asked one of the flight attendants, "You know Charlie Culberson?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Would you give him this envelope?" And inside it was the Willie Mays card from '59. We take off, and about 15, 20 minutes go by. And Charlie comes up to our section, and he is, little did I know, we know, he was a baseball card and memorabilia collector. So he comes up to the front area with the Willie Mays card already in the fancy card wrapping that who knew that he carries. And so I gave it to him. I said, "Please, this is, you and Willie Mays in the space of 24 hours are forever entwined." And Culberson became a Dodger folk hero. Like a Chuck Essegian. These guys who just kind of insert themselves in lore and history. And there was Culberson, who I guess you and I can both say are unabashed fans of that.
Well, that one evening in San Francisco when Charlie brought the bat up and talked to Vinny, they were both tickled to death by the other one.
Darnell Sweeney bloops one into short left field, drops in front of Cody Ashe for a base hit. Dodgers have first and second with 2 out and a run in here in the bottom of the 7th and leading at 5-3.
How fitting was that last call of the regular season game at Dodger Stadium for Vin Scully. A walk-off home run, which was really Vin Scully's career. That was a walk-off home run career.
And then you and I had a chance to sing Wings Beneath Her. No, it wasn't us.
Silently as he did it aloud.
What a year it was last year. My goodness. Now here's Brett Eibner. His first at-bat with the Dodgers, hit a home run. He's a right-handed hitter. Over the wall, into right. The right field bullpen occupied by the White Sox. Takes the ball outside. 1 ball, no strikes.
But you and I were treated with a legend every night in that back dining room with Benny. And Benny, if you happen to be listening, or there's a real close friend of it, we want him to come and have dinner with us often at Dodger Stadium. Special, magical moments.
Our dinners with Vin.
Wow.
Now you're stuck with me.
Used to be in a dining room. Now we just go up to the hot dog stand.
You want relish too? 2 balls, no strikes. Eibner swings and misses.
Talk about downgrading a room.
Ooh. From filet mignon to spam. 2 out. Run in, bottom of the 7th. Dodgers lead the White Sox 5-3. The first of 38 exhibition games before the Dodgers open for business on Monday, April 3rd at the stadium against the Padres. Eibner takes the ball in the dirt, 3-1. The 2017 Dodger season tickets are available now. For a limited time only, enjoy exclusive benefits and great savings starting as low as $13 a game. Or for greater flexibility while enjoying exciting matchups and promotional nights, purchase a mini plan. Visit Dodgers.com/season tickets. It was uncanny with our friend Richard Justice the last time Eibner was up. He was talking about the kid growing up in Texas. The Dodgers have reason to believe that he can be a pretty good player. Right on cue, he hit a home run. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, 2 on. Van Slyke leads from second. Darnell Sweeney from first. There they go. Here's the pitch, a swing and a foul back.
So you want to be a catcher, huh? Take that foul ball off the catcher's mitt and immediately goes back and rattles your mask.
Talk about getting in your cage.
Oh.
I think it also deflected off the mask to his right shoulder.
You and I had one advantage. Earlier on in our lives, being left-handed, they did not want to put us back behind the plate.
On 3-2, Eibner swings and misses at a fastball, and that will end the inning. Dodgers tack on a run with 3 hits and leave 2. We go to the 8th. They lead the White Sox 5-3. Having a good time at the ballpark on this Saturday afternoon. Game 1 of 38 exhibitions. New pitcher for the Dodgers, Patrick Schuster. He's out of Holiday, Florida. Signed a free agent contract with the Dodgers during the offseason. Had been in Oakland and Philadelphia at the minor league level. And Lurie Garcia will lead it off for the Sox here in the 8th. So we've got the not ready for primetime player portion of the program now. And to that end, Courtney Hawkins is on deck for the White Sox. Schuster delivers a strike, and it's 0-1. Alex Verdugo is in center field now for the Dodgers. Now he is a prospect that they think quite highly of. Dodgers 5-3 as we begin the 8th. Schuster deals. Kind of a slingshot delivery. Garcia swings and misses, and it's 0-2.
Well, growing up, mentioning out of Florida. How about this? 4 consecutive no-hitters he pitched for Mitchell High School. Consecutive.
Hard to get better than that.
Struck out 60 over those 4 games.
What was his record?
By the way, the all-time national prep record for consecutive no-hitters, 6.
He was too short. My goodness. Here's the 1-2. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. So Garcia is retired, and that is the first out of the 8th. Had dinner with Charlie Huff the other night, and he lost a no-hitter on a wild pitch pass ball. Struck out what he thought was the final out of the game-winning run, a walk-off strikeout. That's what you get with a knuckleball. So here's Courtney Hawkins, right-handed batter. Schuster delivers inside 2-0.
Found a quote from Schuster. It was right before his attempt to make it 5 consecutive no-hitters. There's a reporter talking to his father who was there at the game. His father told him, my son told me this is the most comfortable place in the world for him is when he's on the pitching mound.
He delivers a fastball, and Hawkins fouls it off to the left, 2-1.
By the way, that 5th attempt for a no-hitter he had it the first 2 innings, finally gave up a double in the 3rd inning.
2-1 to Hawkins. Waggles the bat as he awaits the pitch. It's inside. 3-1. Four no-hitters in a row. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. He's 26. Delivers a strike. It's now 3-2. A 13th round pick of the Diamondbacks in 2009. Now the 3-2. Schuster to Hawkins. Ground ball up the middle. Fielded behind the bag by Kike Hernandez, who throws wide up the right field line. And Hawkins is aboard. A good throw would have gotten him. But I think they're calling a base hit. And now here's Danny Hayes. Tall left-handed hitter. Slight crouch. Schuster set and the pitch. Strike on the outside corner. And it's 0-1. Well, MLB.TV Premium is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, enjoy most, in fact, all 300 spring training games and the 2017 World Baseball Classic. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Danny Hayes takes outside, and it's 1-1. Bobby Wilson is catching now for the Dodgers. He's bounced around some. Wilson with the Angels, Diamondbacks, Rays, Rangers, Tigers, and now trying to hook up with the Dodgers. Schuster misses outside, 2-1. But you know, you're talking about Kid Schuster and 4 consecutive no-hitters in high school, and how great he was as compared with the kids he was throwing against. Missing low and outside, 3-1. Then you go to the minor league level and suddenly they're better. Then you go A, double A, triple A. And then to make that bridge from 4 no-hitters in a row in high school to just hoping for a cup of coffee at the big league level. Runner goes on 3-1, and Hayes pops it up to the left side of the infield. And Kike Hernandez at shortstop makes the catch for the 2nd out of the 8th.
Well, Schuster also tells the story as a young child. His father, watching him throw left-handed, tried to get him to throw right-handed. And then finally Dad said, no, he keeps picking it up with the left hand. Just let him go ahead and throw it with the left hand. Well, it's kind of paid off.
How about Kenley Jansen, who's a natural left-hander, except when he pitches? When he signs an autograph, it's with his left hand, brushes his teeth, left hand, and throws a cutter at 98 with his right.
A great stab made by a fan that brought the glove to the ballpark. And a lady is sitting with her husband was the one that caught it on the backhand side.
She brought the glove. And getting an ovation. Nice job. Nicky Delmonico is the hitter, and no balls on a strike to him. Dodgers and Brewers back with you tomorrow. First pitch at 5 afternoon, Los Angeles time. Arizona for the next couple of weeks will be in the Mountain Time Zone. "38 games this spring training season, what with the World Baseball Classic. Schuster set at the belt. Eyes a runner at first. Pitch is inside. And it's 2-1. Richard Justice made a really interesting point with the extension of spring training by roughly a week. And some players going off to play in the WBC. That many more players back in spring training will have the opportunity to peddle their wares.
Yeah. More games are going to be played. More innings have to be produced. And if you're a pitcher, you're probably in a really good spot.
Here's a 2-1 swing and a foul back. 2-2 to Delmonico.
And why more so for a pitcher than anybody else? Well, no, you have a lot of them. You're only going to stretch out so many innings, especially early in the camp, so you're going to see more faces.
And of course there'll be the split squads, and we will see players that will simply not exist in our programs, but always in our hearts. Well, at least not in our programs. Here's a 2-2 ground ball, slowly hit to third, picked up by Sweeney, throws to first, and that'll end the inning. The runs and a hit, one man left. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Dodgers 5 and the White Sox 3. Brad Goldberg is now on, a AAA pitcher last year for the White Sox. 43 games, a .284 ERA. In 50 2/3 innings, struck out 44, but he did walk 23 opposing hitters, 227 against him. He'll be facing Tyler Holt for the Dodgers beginning the bottom of the 8th. Dodgers 5 runs and 10 hits. The White Sox 3 runs and 6. Holt single to center in his first at bat. Outside and low, 1 ball and no strikes. Well, from now until the final game of the regular season, this is the first of 190 games that the Dodgers will play between now and October. And then the hope is to win 11 in the postseason. Something, of course, the Dodgers, well, they haven't won the World Series since '88, but they have won the division, finished first in each of the last 4 years and 6 of the last 9. Tyler Holt, right-handed batter, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Swings and misses, down on a slider. First out of the 8th.
You know, Holt, something was flashing in my mind. I just found it. The Dodgers saw Holt last year when he was at the Reds, called up briefly. Remember, Holt pitched against the Dodgers. Dodgers had 7 home runs in that game. It was an 18-9 game. Reds bullpen was depleted in the 8th inning, and Holt came on in the 9th. 60-mile-an-hour knuckleball he was throwing.
Speaking of which, Bobby Wilson is in. No balls in the strike. Eric Gagne is here in camp, and he's going to be pitching for Team Canada in the World Baseball Classic. And he is serious about making a comeback. It has been 7 years since Gagne pitched.
What, did he take a long nap and just wake up, or what?
And, you know, you hear the scuttlebutt around camp, and they say, hey, you wouldn't know that he has been out of the game for 7 years. And he's, I think, 41 now. Physically looks great. The 1-1. Outside of 2-1. I was wondering, I had no idea what the answer is. What was the longest period of hibernation between your last appearance and your next appearance? And should he make it to some major league team, and he's serious about it, it'd be a 7-year separation from his last pitch to his next one. Bobby Wilson takes inside, 3 balls and a strike with 1 out, nobody on, bottom of the 8th. Dodgers lead the White Sox 5-3.
Well, that's taking can't play a day game after a night game. Extreme issues.
What a great story if. Here's a 3-1. Wilson swings and misses, 3-2. He will be pitching for Team Canada. And we'll see how that all plays out.
Well, there will be scouts at the WBC.
Sure.
No question about that.
3-2 to Bobby Wilson. Brad Goldberg deals. Grounded foul toward the Dodger dugout up the third baseline. Toyota's We Make It Easy sales event is going on now. Get low financing and great lease offers on every new 2017 car, truck, and SUV. See your Southern California Toyota dealer today, and they make it easy. Three and 2 to Wilson with Cody Bellinger on deck. Goldberg, the righty, set. Delivers. Foul back and out of play. Dodgers were trailing 2-0 heading into the bottom of the third. They'd score 3 in the third inning. White Sox would tie it with a run in the fourth. Wilson a slow ground ball to third. This will be an easy play for Delmonico. Wilson doesn't run especially well. He's gone, 2 gone. And now Bellinger coming up. The Dodgers with solo runs in the 6th and 7th lead it 5-3. The big story, of course, Kershaw, 11 pitches, 7 strikes in his 1 inning. Struck out a batter. So Bellinger, this is his third at bat. He is 0 for 2. Takes high strike on the inside part of the plate. 0-1.
Sometimes learn about players within your own organization by watching how other teams position them. Well, they have the shift on with Bellinger. They've tried to jam him. The catcher's been setting up inside, then setting up again inside for this pitch.
Bellinger takes high and away. 1-1.
So you look at other clubs as well. They've seen this guy more than we have. He had an outstanding spring last year, offensively and defensively. You mentioned that not only playing at first base, he played a very good center field a couple of games that we saw. And while the swing does get a little bit long, the natural tendency to say, hey, let's jam someone that has a longer swing.
The 1-1, grounded to second base. Moncada picks it up and throws out Bellinger. Two young stars of the future, Moncada and Cody Bellinger. We'll go to the ninth with the Dodgers up 5-3. Well, we go to the ninth inning. Dodgers 5 runs and 10 hits. And the White Sox 3 runs and 6 hits. And the new pitcher for the Dodgers, first time we've laid eyes on him, left-hander Edward Paredes. Double-A last year with the Angels, where he had a .227 earned run average. Struck out 53, walked 21, and opponents hit 167 against him. Long, lean left-hander, pitches out of the stretch and delivers a fastball for a strike. 0-1. Willie Garcia is the hitter. And Zach Collins is on deck. Again, the White Sox are rebuilding after a especially dreadful year last year. Garcia down on strikes. That's the first out of the ninth.
They got this young left-hander that's come over, kind of herky-jerky in the deliveries out of Dominican Republic. And just look at the numbers. 2012, he did not play baseball. Oh, he wasn't hurt. It was said he just simply could not find a team that said, we have an interest in you.
Delivers a fastball high and away, 1 ball, no strikes to the left-handed hitting Zach Collins.
But then he came back. He knocked on some more doors. He picked up the telephone, and 6 games in 2013, and kind of proved to everybody else, hey, there's a spot. Let's see what's going to happen.
And here he is, delivering high and outside, 2 balls and no strikes. The 2-0, high and away, 3 balls, no strikes. The White Sox, talking earlier, I mean, the wheels came off their jalopy last year. They won 55 of their final 129 games.
Oof.
Ooh. And they finally said enough. Sale gone. There's a line drive. Right center field for a base hit. Zach Collins is aboard. The White Sox, knowing full well this is a rebuilding year. And there's going to be a pinch runner there at first base. Little fellow with no last name on his back. Now here's Moncada, who was the centerpiece of the deal that sent Chris Sale to the Red Sox. And there's a strike, and it's 0-1. Moncada bounced to second base in his first at-bat. 1 out, 9th inning. Dodgers 5-3. Paredes misses inside, and it's 1-1. Cody Ashe is on deck. A very chilly morning has turned into a picture-perfect Saturday afternoon here in Glendale, and a call strike to Moncada, and it's 1-2. Moncada's a powerfully built right-handed hitter. Call strike 3. Breaking ball in the outside corner. So Paredes has struck out 2. There's 2 out. 9th inning. Dodgers 5-3.
You know, left-handers' best pitches have been against left-handed batters. In particular, the breaking ball. This time he went away for the right-handed batter. Came back and just tickled the outside corner, as the umpires referred to it, that little gray area.
It's as gray as they want to make it. 2 out in the 9th. A 1-loss record in spring training really is meaningless. Last year, the Dodgers would win 91. In spring training, they were 4 under 500. 2015, while 16-11, they skated to 8 ties. 2014, 7-12. 2013, 13-20. Point being, the Dodgers won 90 or more games in those 4 years. 1 ball, 1 strike, and 2 out. Swing and a miss by Cody Ashe, and the Dodgers are a strike away from finishing up their first exhibition game of the season. And we'll be back with you again tomorrow. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Crowd of 8,400 and 74 watching it today. Here's the 1-2. Check swing, 1 around, strike 3, game over. And the Dodgers have beaten the White Sox 5-3. For the Dodgers, 5 runs, 10 hits, no errors. They left 8. The White Sox, 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors. They left 5. Fabio Castillo was pretty fabulous to get the win for the Dodgers. Giovanni Soto took the loss. Paredes with the save in a game that took 2 hours, 47 minutes to play. That's a wrap for us from Camelback Ranch. For our Sportsnet LA viewers, join us again tomorrow when the Dodgers visit with the Brewers in Maryville. First pitch at 12:05.